Hi, everybody. I'd like to talk to you today about something near and dear to my heart, and that is none other than Bloom's taxonomy. Now, I have found in my 15 years as a teacher that Bloom's taxonomy is generally something that everybody knows about. Every teacher is roughly familiar with Bloom's taxonomy, and it obviously has been brought to their attention. They might have printed out Bloom's taxonomy sheets and whatnot, but largely it's something that in the day-to-day lesson planning or unit planning or even the the year-long planning that might take place in the summer. It's something that in general teachers kind of forget about, and is an unbelievably helpful tool, particularly when combined with the right teaching philosophy and something like understanding by design or backward design. Bloom's taxonomy with those two things put together, and again, a good teaching philosophy makes for unbelievable progress in the classroom every time. Gonna jump into it here. Let's look at a pretty common Bloom's taxonomy graphic, and what happens here in Bloom's taxonomy is that we have lower order thinking skills that move up into higher order thinking skills. And in my experience in the traditional classroom, like as a student, most of the assignments that I was asked to do toward the end of a unit really stopped at remember or understand. Possibly, they bled into analyze and apply, and rarely into evaluate, once or twice into create. Okay, but even when it was an analyze and apply, those things, if the teacher believed that it was analyze and apply, it still dealt a lot with remembering and understanding. It was remembering how the teacher had analyzed the situation, or understanding a teacher's evaluation of a particular subject or content area, and then merely regurgitating that in an essay format, or however it was on a test, or whatever, the way that short answer, the way the teacher had taught it in class. So even though kind of the phenotype of it was that it was evaluate and analyze, the genotype was really still just remembering and understanding. And what we'd like to do, or what I think that this at least implies, is that those kind of objective regurgitations of what we remember should take place earlier in the unit or earlier in the year, depending on whether you're teaching young kids or high school kids, and we should move up toward create. Okay, now I've never taught anybody younger than freshmen in high school, at least not in English. And the way I understand it is that perhaps if you are teaching a younger grade, like let's say you're watching this and you teach kindergarten or second grade, something like that, it may be that over the course of a year you go from remember to create. That could be. Or that this isn't a unit by unit process. Maybe one unit it's remember, understand, the next unit is apply, analyze, and then maybe as you get on in the year, you do a lot more evaluating and creating. That could be. However, upper level high school, definitely even down to freshmen. I mean, like I would design each unit going from remember and understand all the way up to create. Okay. Now, what the create part really helps with is it again implies appropriation as learning. Okay, learning is not just remembering and understanding or even applying and analyzing. It is then taking what it is you remember, what you understand, and the way that you've analyzed and evaluated that topic, and then appropriating it. You are taking it in, you are evaluating it, and then you are mixing it with your own life experience and your own preconceived notions, and you're mixing it with what it is that you bring to the table as an individual. And then you are doing the designing, you are doing the assembling, the constructing of a new thing that is individualized, and can be completely different per student, and really brings a lot of opportunities for the students to bring an idea to the table, students to take ownership of their learning instead of getting a project from a teacher, designing the project themselves in a way that shows this progression from remember to evaluate. And then the individual creation. Some of the richest things that I've ever done in the classroom, I have planned from here to say here, and then I've given the reins for this, and this red triangle here at the top has been just amazing. Okay, just amazing stuff from some kids, and I've had no clue what that was going to be at the beginning of the unit. Okay, now I might have had ways that I was going to get them there. I might have questions or maybe even overall ideas like this unit we're going to deal with social injustice or something like that. And always I'll have it connect to the literature that me being an English teacher, I'll have it connect to the literature in one way or another. But what they come up with for this create is different each year, each unit or whatever. And those things really become valuable for them because they are picking areas that they're interested in. And this would typically come even after an essay. The way I would design it, like myself, would be I would have any sort of objective multiple choice stuff way down here at the beginning. This would be kind of front loading. It would be vocabulary necessary for this unit, or words they're going to need to understand, or timelines of events, or whatever it is that you content wise, like you're not able to give up, whether it's because you find it necessary for the unit or whether it's because your school says they need to know this stuff. I get that. You're teaching a religion and your school is saying they need to know these saints and they need to know when they lived and what they did. They need to be able to differentiate those saints. Great. Beginning of the unit. Okay. By the end of the unit, they should be analyzing that, let's just say that the life of that saint, and eventually evaluating the life of that saint, maybe critiquing it. What areas was this saint saintly, and what areas could the saint have done better, etc. Before eventually then like moving on to this where they're taking full ownership of what they've learned here, and then this is game time up here. Okay. One particular area that I mean, like Bloom's taxonomy has just been an absolute godsend, absolute lifesaver. When you are in the dregs of a year and things start to get a little stale. I'm not saying you dread going to class or something like that, but you really find yourself, I don't know, scraping the bottom of the barrel for a new activity, or looking through your old handbooks and binders and trying to find like what's this one activity, what's a new thing I can do to get everybody going again. Bloom's taxonomy is like a breath of fresh air in a vacuum for that. Looking at these verbs here and backward designing from that to get the students to do that, or even showing this to the students, telling them where you are in the unit and asking them to create an activity for themselves or for their group or for their team or however you do it, based on whatever these verbs are, it's just an awesome way to get everybody energized again, and not do the same thing, let alone 4 out of 5 days a week, but like not do the same thing for months at a time. Socratic discussion, paper, tests, Socratic discussion, like that starts to take its toll over the year. And to mix it up and be able to make sure that the students are doing these things, essentially you take the verb, you take your content area, you take your essential questions, and you start figuring out how it is that you are going to assess the students doing these verbs. Okay, how is it, where is it that they are doing the classification? Where is it that they are implementing? Where is it that they are differentiating? Where are the students doing this? There is a way for this to be sort of like incompatible with the classroom, or actually to work against what it's trying to do. And that is if you look at this as a teacher and you start to say, oh, I did that. I defended, I differentiated, I demonstrated, I examined, I critiqued, and you have done that as the teacher, and then your expectation is for them to sort of repeat that. Okay, if what's actually happening is that you, the teacher, are the ones doing the chart here. You are the one climbing up the triangle, and no one doubts your ability to do that. What the challenge is to make sure that the students are the ones doing this. Okay, so a lot of times, I'm not calling anybody out, I'm not saying it's you even, it's been me in the past. Okay, a lot of times, all the students are really doing is listing, memorize, repeat, list, memorize, repeat over and over again. And it is the teacher that is doing this stuff. Every once in a while, once a year, the teacher will reach into this area, and it's typically the best best day of the year. It's the day the teacher looks forward to, the day the students look forward to, and it might even be the one that that teacher becomes kind of famous for. And you know, if you teach eighth grade, maybe like seventh graders, sixth graders know that you do that one activity and they look forward to that. Imagine if you did that every day. Imagine if every day was your best day. Imagine if every day had such purpose and such planning behind it. And that's something that Bloom's taxonomy enables for sure. So this is another chart that I like to use here. This one's probably a little better, just in that it takes you from kind of the language up here that you would use as you move along, and kind of gives you some ideas over here, like exactly what could be happening, and maybe some questions that you might ask in those particular areas. The one thing that I want to shy away from with this is really prescribing what these activities look like at the end. It might be a lot different per class. I mean, my students like to make podcasts. They like to do authentic assessments or authentic activities, like writing a senator a letter using our writing skills, or creating some sort of fundraiser, or making a viral video or something like that. That doesn't take away the essays that you're writing here, and doesn't take away the tests that you're writing here, but it's an outlet for that. It is like an actual why, as to why you need to remember and understand. Why do I need to apply and analyze? Why do I need to write these essays to show I understand and can evaluate what it is we read, or I can compare between this author and this author? The reason that you need to do it is for whatever it is you come up with here. And ultimately, this is the thing here that convinces our students that when they are in class, they are in real life. Okay, I have an issue with this idea that school is this hoop you jump through that teaches you about the real world, and then the real world starts after college. When you get out in the real world, X, Y, and Z will happen, so you need to be ready for it. In my classroom, the real world is now. You are alive, you are in class, you are real, and this is happening. And the only way that you can inform the person who will go out into that world is by making sure that they are in that world while you're in class. You want that kid that is in your class to bring his or herself to class, and you want them to bring this material to what they do outside of class. And that creates a whole person. It does not fragment the student. And to me, Bloom's taxonomy, in conjunction with understanding by design and a student-centric teaching philosophy, creates that ability to close the what could be a very I don't know. It would be an extremely harmful Venn diagram. I mean, these kids are fragmented in so many ways. They have a person who they are online. They've got a person who they are with their friends. They've got a person when they're at home by themselves in their room. A different person that they are when they are at the kitchen table. Different person in front of their girlfriend's dad, and then a different person in class. And you do these things. You do this stuff in class. You jump through these hoops in class. You're a good student, and then you earn the right to never have to do that again. And to me, our job as Catholic or uh, Jesuit educators is to bring all of those people together, right? You need to bring all those people together and show that the actions that you do online, in the classroom, outside of the classroom, to your girlfriend's dad, to your parents, these are all the same guy. This is or girl. This is all the same person. And we believe as teachers that our content can affect that. Okay. And so it's easy to lose sight of that in the middle of a year, on a random Tuesday in February or something like that. But this kind of brings it all together, and to climb that ladder from remember to create, either over the course of a year, over the course of a semester, over the course, like I said, even over the course of a unit, or maybe even a lesson, uh, brings it all home for the student and makes what's happening really clear. Thanks a lot.